You've made it halfway there. So, our fifth key in our 9 keys is marketing and sales excellence. And there is just no way in any reasonable time frame that I can hit on all of the things that are included in this particular key. I realize that it's loaded, right? If you own a business, you know that these two things can bring on hours and hours and days of conversations. A lot of us consider ourselves experts in it, but those that are most expert know that we hardly are scratching the surface. There's always so much more to learn. So I'm gonna touch on one aspect of marketing and sales excellence that I really enjoy talking with other companies that are looking to scale. And that is really around journey mapping. So journey mapping can happen for customers. It can happen actually for employees. You can journey map the onboarding experience all the way through to even when they exit. I love customer journey mapping. It's typically been used in a user experience concept, right? Of how they find you on the web. When they find you, what happens on the web? Where did they go? What's the job they're trying to do while they're on the website? But if you back out from it, there's some very basic tenets of customer journey mapping that can be really helpful to considering your marketing and sales experience, because that's really the flip side of the customer journey is the marketing and sales experience, right? If they're looking and our marketing hasn't gotten that service or product or company out where they're looking, then they can't find you. And then if they happen to find you, but there's no follow-up or there's no easy way to buy, then from a sales perspective, they're going to go away. So that underside to the customer journey is why I'm using that example in this particular key overview. So this is an example of buying a car. I did not create these. I have picked a couple of these up from key groups. This is from nngroup.com. Again, the link is available if needed. Just message us. And basically they're going through what does it look like for this particular buyer journey, because not everybody, so this is somebody they've identified as emotional Eric. He's just moved to the area. He's shopping for a car. You might have a completely different buyer persona. I don't want to make one up and really put my foot in my mouth, but a different buyer persona who they've been here forever. They have a lot of friends. Maybe this is the 10th car they've bought. They're going to have a different journey. And so keep that in mind. Your buyer persona matters. But for today, we're just going to keep this kind of high level. Nobody has just one buyer persona, but let's pretend like we do. So what's happening when they're considering, here's where marketing might play, right? They've seen a commercial for a website or they've seen an ad on Facebook, right? Those are all marketing tactics. They might explore. This might still be heavily the marketing team. They start comparing, which could or could not be the marketing team. This might be third-party reviews like Consumer Reports. And then they actually come in, and here at this point in time, we are really talking about the sales process / the finance legal process. There's other people involved, right? But at any point in time, they could drop off. And it's that drop off that helps us understand, are we doing all the right things? So we want to be there while they're considering, and we want to be a good option while they're exploring. We hope that we've put out the right public relations or the right submissions for awards or whatever it takes to be in the comparison. Sometimes that's our own created content, so that when it comes down to test driving or demoing or making a decision, we're still in the running. And then we're relying on a really great sales process. Whether that's having a sales guy that feels like your best friend and he gets you and he's helping you out, or whether that feels like that button that you click on a website actually means I can buy the thing I want to buy right now. Whatever sales looks like, it needs to be good. And then obviously you want them to be happy afterwards. So this is just an example of a new car. I thought this was really interesting regarding Spotify. So somebody's visiting. This is the actor or buyer persona. In their case, they don't use that same terminology. They even bring into it these emotions. And so obviously if they come in and they're visiting, I might just be like, I want to hear some music. And then realizing like, oh my gosh, I have this Discover Weekly playlist. And then I'm excited because I want to see it. And then, you have these potential up and downs. It's these downs where we want to try to make sure that we've created experiences that keep them engaged. So imagine if I went to Spotify, I see the suggested playlist, like this new capability, but then it takes me 3 minutes to register for it because you've asked for my email address. That's going to be frustrating, right? That is an easy leakage point to get rid of. And I use that terminology from some experiences in the pharma industry. They, indicating like trying to keep people engaged through the process to get the therapies that they need. In this case, they may not need the music. One could argue they might. But the concept is like, hey, keep them engaged. Like, how do you take this marketing experience, like say, for instance, the website, and create an experience where they actually want to stay around? Maybe they even want to give you information. Or in this case, the ultimate, which is that they've shared it with somebody else. So now they're excited. They send it to somebody else. That somebody else is opening it up, potentially giving you the opportunity for a new customer, new referral, or something along those lines. So anywhere there's this annoyed or frustrated, this is a capability for them to drop off. That is where we are hoping to shore that up. We need to make sure we have the marketing and sales processes to even keep them engaged, right? You have to have those at every one of those stages. But assuming that's true, then this is the next place that you can really hone your marketing and sales expertise. Another example, I'll go through this one pretty quickly, but Starbucks can look at this as an enriched experience, or potentially where they might lose clients, where it could be poached by another local coffee shop or IHOP or wherever somebody else might buy coffee, right? So if somebody comes in and it's loud versus having a good ambiance with a good aroma, like that might just hit internally in a way that you're like, the next time you're thinking of getting a drink, you might not go to Starbucks because it's loud and your drink, or the air was cold and it just, and then you got a fake greeting and then it was actually loud still. So versus like you had a polite experience and a tasty drink at good temperature and free and fast Wi-Fi, right? These things actually create a good experience where the next time they have the opportunity, they're probably coming back to you. Or when somebody asks where to go grab a drink, they might say, oh, we could meet at Starbucks, right? You are creating that experience. Metrics around sales and marketing, there are hundreds of ways to measure it. Definitely consider things. These are just a handful. Audience size and engagement. You could have a massive audience, whether email addresses, phone numbers of like for SMS, or they show up in droves. But if they're not engaged, if they're not actually interacting with anything that you post or send, those are considerations for how your sales and marketing might be dropping off. Really important to understand your contact to contract timing. If it takes somebody forever from the point that you know about them or they know about you to the point that they buy or sign or whatever your purchase click is, if that's a long period of time, constantly finding ways to shorten that up is really, really important. So if you have something that traditionally requires a contract and going back and forth with legal, can you actually set that up so it's something that that can be created instantly, can be signed instantly, etc.? How close can you get that to being a single purchase? Order to cash timing is just another example of it. So that same contract, that's in essence an order, using different terminology and put your own. But how long from the time that they say yes can they get access to the thing that they bought? This is where Amazon, as a great example, right? I click an order and it's going to be delivered to me. I'm going to be so thrilled if that thing can be here within hours. And I used to be thrilled when that thing could be here in 2 days, and now I'm thrilled when it's here in hours. So there's just these kind of order to cash timing expectations and or places that we can really excite our clients because we're doing something so different than somebody else. So that having your marketing, sales, and then to fulfillment perspective, considering that, because if it's going to be long, which operations is a separate key for us, but if it's going to be a while before they get what they need, you need to bridge that gap with marketing or with sales outreach. Somebody has got to keep them excited about the thing that they're going to get, but they might not get it for days or weeks. And that is a really important thing. So let's say you sign up for a trade show in 6 months. As a person attending that trade show, if you don't hear from anybody for that 6 months, we've lost all kinds of opportunities. We've lost opportunities for some of the speakers to be engaged with or to be followed, or maybe some of the preliminary information to be shared, or maybe inviting a friend or a colleague, right? And exponentially growing the number of attendees that are going to be at that particular event. Like the time between buying to when they get it, if it's not instant, in whatever time frame that those two things are separated, marketing and or sales still have a role. Make sure you're thinking through that. NPS, Net Promoter Score, and or reviews. Pick your poison. Shouldn't say poison, but pick the way you want to be measured, and then actually lean into that. Get those responses. Ask for reviews. Interact with those reviews. ROAS is return on advertising spend. Obviously, wanting to measure, being able to measure most of what you do from a marketing and advertising perspective. You won't be able to measure it all, but measure what you can. And from most businesses' perspective, I didn't have this in here, but definitely make sure that you're putting the right budget into your marketing. There are a lot of different theories on what that should look like, but in most cases, it should be at least 2% of your gross revenue. And there are cases where I've seen it quite higher, but you can go all the way to 10. I would recommend somewhere between 3 and 5 as a baseline, and then adjusting for your real world scenario. And to that point, understanding your funnel, understanding your optimization, understanding your journey, and all of the different levers you have throughout that, understanding it, measuring it, optimizing. Because if each little thing is slightly edited to be better, that is exponential growth. So you're not just 1 + 1 does not equal 2 in that case. So keep that in mind for everything that you're doing. If you haven't mapped out your customer definitely encourage you to do that. If you haven't measured out the places that you can lose your prospects or customers, consider that. And regardless, make sure you are there for every one of their decision points with something that can be helpful to them. This is just one aspect of sales and marketing optimization. We hope not only will you dig into this, that you will become a student of other ways to do it as well. Any questions, happy to answer, advisory9.com. If we don't know it, we'll try to find the experts who do. Thanks so much.